Hello everyone, it's Harrison Allen back again, and this is going to be like a bit of a different collection type video because as you guys know, this year marks the 80th anniversary of the Railway series, let alone the Thomas brand as a whole, and one of my predictions was Mattel with another book publishing company would re-release all of Christopher Awdry's Railway series books in like some big collection, and this is what the collection is going to be today. The entirety of my Christopher Awdry Railway series books that I have in my personal collection now. The only two I'm missing is Thomas and Victoria from 2007, which was meant to come out in 1997 originally, but was delayed due to copyright issues. And the other one is Thomas and His Friends from 2011, but that one is extremely expensive. It goes as much as say like a Hornby Murdoch in terms of Australian currency anyway. Now, yes, Christopher Awdry had like more books up his sleeves other than this little stack. So Barry the Rescue Angel was supposed to come out sometime in the early 80s. I want to say 1983 if I'm gonna picture it. And the other ones, I think he had like a few other books based on the Scarlorry Railway that he was looking at publishing at some stage too. But I, yeah, I think I was the readers, let alone the publishers, were more just sort of Thomas centric books as well, including Brittle Croft, who basically like took control of the whole Thomas licensing during the late 90s as well. But without further ado, let's dive right in. So the first book we have is Really Useful Engines from 1983. Now, originally, Wilbur Awdry actually gained the title for this book back in the early 70s, but that was when he, after Tramway Engines, he decided to step down or retire from writing the Railway series storyline. So the entire book series went on somewhat of a 10-year hiatus after that. He didn't have any clue what the story should go. So, and Christopher at the time, he didn't want to follow Wilbert's story. I mean Wilbert's footsteps. Like he wanted to do detective fiction, kind of like comic book characters like Tintin and Dick Tracy and that. But unfortunately for Christopher, he didn't know where to start. So he went for the last thing he wanted to do and decided tackle Thomas in the world of Sordor by continuing his father's legacy. So, and quite naturally he decided to go with the book title that his father was given to by the publishers, but never really got down to write any outlines for. So is Really Useful Engines. Next one is James and the Diesel Engines, which came out in 1984, which I believe this came out before the TV series premiered in England. I'm not entirely sure though. This one was actually my first of the Christopher Awdry books. Actually, got I originally was given. I originally had a was it a 2-in-1 book, which it contained which story was it? Cross Lines and the other one, not Fire Engine. Deep Freeze. That's it. It contained those two stories. But a friend of mine actually gave me was the actual book itself. So yeah, thank you. I won't say his actual name, but he would know who exactly I'm referring to and such. So yep, that's that one. And a good chunk of these books too actually came from a Australian Thomas eBay seller slash YouTuber called TW Ryan 86, and half of these book titles actually came from him. And I don't know if he's watching this, but Ryan, if you are, thank you so much. Shipping these off to me. I wouldn't get this collection to where it is now if it wasn't for you. But anyway, let's continue. Here we have Great Little Engines from 1985. Now, one of the unreleased Railway series books Christopher actually had in mind was actually based on, was it Sir Handel getting stuck in mud, which was based on an actual event from the Tyclone Railway with his real life counterpart, Sir Hayden. And I don't know if that little book were to be published, it would have had say like Sir Handel on the front cover and stuff like that. It could have, but I think Richard Awdry, like his son, probably would know a little bit more than say we would do, because information is pretty scarce, because all of those little documents from like the unreleased material are kept at the Tyclone Railway, which I still believe they will be finally revealed to the public at this year's Awdry extravaganza. So yeah, that's that one. And if someone were to ask me too, yes, this is a personal favourite of mine, because Sir Handel is my all-time favourite narrow gauge character in the entire Thomas brand. The next one is more about Thomas the Tank Engine from 1986. Now, out of all the books Christopher has published in the Railway series lineup, this one is by far his least favourite, because this was all the stories in this particular book. Croft actually approached Chris saying like, hey, can you write some stories so we can adapt for the second series, which was already in the works or the filming stage at the time. And Chris was given a pretty strict deadline for the book to be published and that. So unfortunately, he didn't really get the stories a little bit of polish and pizzazz the way he wanted to go out with this book. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. That's one. Now, the next one is Gorn the High-Speed Engine. Now, this is another particular favourite of mine from the Christopher Awdry Railway series lineup. So I first discovered YouTube around 2010, primarily during the 65th anniversary of the Thomas brands, and one of the first, the earliest videos I can remember watching as an 8-year-old was a adaptation of the High Speed Trains book, which was made out of Bachmann models, from what I can remember. If anyone knows, the version I'm referring to, points to you. But yeah, that actually got me, they actually discovered me back then. I thought it was some kind of made up original story by the fan, but little did I know this actually had any basis for the original books material, which actually never got published in the TV series. So it's that one. Here we have Toby Trucks and Trouble from 1988. Now, a good chunk of these books I want to point out. Some of the stories were eventually adapted into the television series, like Really Useful Engines, and more about Thomas the Tank Engine, for example. A few of these, a few stories from here were adapted into Series 4. So stories, not Mavis and the Lorry. I'm thinking the two Toby-based stories. Toby Seaside Holiday. Elements from this particular story were reused for Special Attraction, and Bulstrode, which again were two stories cramped into one, with say Edward and Gordon, Whistles and Sneezes, and the missing coach, despite never being finished, being fully finalized in the filming stage. Here we have Thomas and the Twins. I can remember now. It was this book I actually can recall discovered that Christopher's stories years ago when I was slightly bit older, at 12 years old. With if you guys remember SI3D Films, or was it Waterton Productions? I hope I'm pronouncing that channel's username or not, but he did a whole bunch of was trains, adaptation